So thinking about all these roles, before you narrow down on which ones you're specifically looking to apply to, being able to examine the full pool of options and titles open to you is really helpful. Titles are also going to vary quite a bit. The thing to take home when looking at options is that skills really matter most to industry hiring managers. It's really what can you come in and start doing day one. They're typically flexible on what field you've studied. So they're not going to be very particular if you specifically are a molecular biologist or a cellular biologist. They know they need someone who has a lot of qPCR experience, and they don't really care what project it was specifically used on. Typically, it's skills that you can come in and start comfortably using. They look at your experience in your PhD more as evidence that you can become an expert in applying your skills to a certain field or a certain project. And if you can do that once, they know that you can do it again. And a postdoc would typically take our skills and apply them to a slightly different project or slightly different area. So even more so then, you've done it more than once. When I say skills, I mean both lab skills and transferable skills. So you also want to focus on the transferable skills you're bringing, that you're able to critically analyze the conclusions that other people are making and look at other potential explanations, that kind of critical literature review, troubleshooting when assays don't go as planned, also teaching and mentorship of undergraduate students and interns in your lab, as well as planning and organization of projects and keeping them on a timeline. So those are transferable skills that they're also looking for you to highlight and bring from your training. When you're looking for industry roles and looking at the pool of options that you can apply to, industry titles I've seen be titled so many different ways. I've seen them be titled by field. So I've seen roles that are called molecular virologist, scientist cell biology, scientist functional genomics, by product, so scientist of biologics, scientist T-cell therapies, or responsibilities, assay development, scientist tissue engineering. But also if it's a skill that they're really, really focused on, sometimes they'll title it by the skill. So senior scientist flow cytometry, associate scientist next generation sequencing. And the important thing to remember is that you don't need to necessarily line up specifically title-wise. If you're going into LinkedIn, for example, and you type in neuroscience or neuroscientist in jobs, you're going to get quite a few roles that are not industry as well, but you're also not going to get the full range of options that you could apply to. There's a lot of roles out there that are looking for a neuroscientist skills that are not titled neuroscientist. And part of the initial job search is finding out how to search for those roles and what they're titled. So I'm going to go through a couple different options for that, and you can pick your preferred way. One way is to mine job descriptions. Go through job descriptions and find titles and skills that they're calling out multiple times, particularly when it's very industry jargon heavy, or networking opportunities or companies with interest alignment. Just as an example, if you're utilizing job descriptions, how you can do this is go to a site like a LinkedIn or an Indeed and search for roles using either a skill you're really proficient in, a therapy that you are interested in contributing to, or you can even start with fields. You can start in typing how you would describe yourself. So biochemist, molecular and cellular biologist. You can start out typing in those fields, but the goal is to then find job descriptions that'll help you go beyond that. Find a few roles that you're interested in and make sure that they're ones that match you education-wise. So they're looking for a PhD, and that there's at least a 60% overlap of the skills requirements with you, so that you know that there would be mutual interest typically in those roles, that it's something that you are potentially excited about applying to, or that you would be intrigued if you got a call back to interview for this role. And when you have that 60% overlap, you can be fairly certain that there would be some interest in you from the other side as well. Once you've picked out a few of those options, go through them and see, one, what title they're using, but what other skills and titles they're using within that. So you might see, oh, we're looking for a cell biologist to join our cell therapy process team. We're looking for a cell biologist to join our tissue engineering team. Utilizing then those kind of terms in your next search and further narrowing down from there. You'll find more and more of these industry titles, how they're describing these roles that are looking for the skills that you're looking for, and you'll be able to expand your pool of applications. And then once you're applying for roles, focus on the ones that you're getting phone screens for. So getting some movement on, and that'll give you an insight on where your skills are being most valued. Maybe you're not having so much luck applying to roles that are specifically titled biochemistry, but you're getting a lot of movement on roles on protein formulation. Even though they're looking for similar skills, you can then make better use of your time in applications for roles by applying to titles that are getting you the most movement. And maybe it's not the titles that are getting you the most movement. Maybe it's the skills. Maybe it's, oh, I'm attracting a lot of attention for flow cytometry experience, or I'm attracting a lot of attention for the in vivo models that I've worked with. It'll give you a sense of what about your application is standing out and what roles you're likely to get movement on when you apply to them. The other option is if you want to use more of a networking approach, if you're interested in particular titles, if you already know, I want to be a field application scientist, or I know I want to work at a big pharma company, or I know I want to work at a small biotech startup that's working on mRNA therapies. Then you want to look at scientists who are working in a role that you're interested in or a company that you're interested in. And LinkedIn's a good way to do this, but you can also look at panel events. I utilize a lot of the free event programming like Eventbrite to find some of these panels. Your colleges probably offer quite a few of these, and also local biotech to academia connections like Grow Biotech, Mass Bio. You can find information about these kind of speaking events and connect with people there as well. And then reach out and explain what you want to learn and why you think that they can help you. I always say, I frame this as reason and compliment. If you're reaching out on LinkedIn, you don't have a whole lot of space to describe who you are, what you're looking for, what you like about them. You run out of characters pretty quickly. And even if you're contacting someone over email, say after an event, you don't want to be super long. You don't want to bury what you want to get in a long essay. So reason, compliment. What do you want to gain from them? What kind of knowledge? Do you want to know more about the company they work for? Do you want to know a little bit about their responsibilities? Do you want to know a little bit about how they got their role? Why are you reaching out to them? What do you want to learn? And then compliment. What is it about them, their previous experience, that tells you they're the right person to answer this question for you? And that's typically a good way to show someone that you really are invested in hearing from them and that you're more likely to get a call or an offer to do an informational interview for like 15-20 minutes than just hey, I'd like to connect. People are more likely to respond to something that's a little more thought out. Don't ever ask for a job though in these situations. Ask for information, but you can reiterate your interest. You can say, I'm interested in working in a company like yours one day, or I'm interested in moving into industry in a role similar to yours. I'd like to know a little bit about how my skills could best be applied to this kind of role. So you can show that you're interested and potentially get on their radar and within their pipeline without actually asking directly for an introduction to a hiring manager.